Today could be my last.
Meet O'Nell, a global health strategist for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and BCG. He spent his career tackling some of the most complex health challenges across the African continent. But today, he sits with people I don't. Over a game of chess,
You wrote a book, man. Part memoir, part fiction.
we explore the one force we all have but rarely understand.
Curiosity toward the world.
We're deconstructing the brutal work of understanding yourself
The inner realm is an internal space where we can actually explore who we are.
and what it means to finally live in tune with your own curiosity.
There is, I think, sometimes a fallacy that to be at peace comes with some level of resignation, that you can't make changes. And I think that's completely false. Today could be my last. Today is also the first of the rest of my life. And for me, that space, that's where the most beautiful things in life can happen.
Let's play. I want to ask you a question that Curiosity has asked you a couple times.
Yes.
How are you?
That's a good question, actually. Yeah. I'm good. Like very, very good.
You wrote a book, man.
Yes, sir.
And it's part memoir, part fiction.
Right.
Where I want to start is that internal curiosity.
When I wrote the book, I knew I had the concept of curiosity towards self and curiosity toward the world. To practice curiosity towards self, but not bring that out to the world is incomplete. To practice curiosity outwardly, which is kind of the other side of the coin, without knowing yourself is actually quite dangerous.
Gotcha.
Now, as you've seen in the book, I describe people almost as like entire universes in constant change.
Yeah.
And that's what the inner realm is. The inner realm is an internal space that we all have access to, where we can actually explore who we are and explore in real time within ourselves the changes that are happening in real time.
Curiosity, it takes an embodiment, if you will. It takes a physical form, if you will. And it's a very sassy character, to say the least, right? But it'll always drop these nuggets throughout the book that it insinuates that it's been a part of a bigger thing than we can even comprehend almost. How I've interpreted it when I read the book was it's actually a spiritual plane of some sort.
No, that's exactly. I think that's the right way to look at it. Because obviously we all carry a specific form. You walk the world in a specific form. You see yourself in this physical body. The inner realm, like you said, has much more of an emotional and spiritual component.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that's the concept of identity. That's where you get to actually know yourself. But it's a magical place where a lot of things can happen. And it's a magical place where something like curiosity can actually become real and personified. And that's where you use it almost as a playground to get to know yourself, to practice your curiosity towards yourself. And then after that, you can step out in the world if you want.
It's interesting because you're in this book, you're on this grandiose journey going through different plains, fields, gardens and whatnot. And then you're reminded that, oh, this is you under a tree for most of the book. And you're literally there for 1 hour.
Yeah.
That's the entirety of it. And it brings to question like the role of meditation, which is what you were doing under the tree. Do you see that as like a sacred entering of this realm, the inner realm, and it has to be through this format, or somebody take a psychedelic and get there as well? Like, is there other ways, or is it really central this practice that meditation is?
My perspective is always there is no such thing as one truth or a single truth in life. But it really comes down to just give yourself space and time to actually interact with this life that you are without the noise of the outside world. And when you do that, that's when you actually access, if you wish, that inner realm. That's where you can actually have those reflections with yourself.
And throughout this book, you're on this grandiose journey and curiosity is there by your side until a certain pivotal moment. But it's a cat. And that threw me off the first time. I'm like,
Why is there a cat?
Why is there a cat?
The reason why it's a cat, quite frankly, is when you start the process of writing a book, you do a lot of research. And obviously, there's a very popular saying, which is curiosity killed the cat.
Yeah.
And what people don't know is that there's a second part to that story, which is curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back. And when you piece it together, usually curiosity killed the cat is don't be too noisy, don't be looking at things you're not supposed to be looking at, this and that. But satisfaction brought it back for me, kind of closes the loop quite nicely.
And it doesn't stay a cat. It transcends into different forms as well. Does that transition happen because you yourself are transcending?
So the common theme of the book, and I'm sure you picked it up, is a reminder to the reader that the only constant in this life is change. And if anything, when you look inwards, change is there with you. Curiosity at some point goes from a cat to a little bird or this and that. A cat for most of the book, but we've seen it in other animal form. it's to make it familiar and easy for the reader to realize, hey, change is okay. And as a matter of fact, at the core of who we are, that essence, practicing curiosity to ourselves is actually observation of that change.
Of course.
And actively participating in it. It's happening. Whether you're looking at it or not, it is happening. Even if at the surface level you feel like nothing is changing, you are changing every single moment.
How did you feel like the process of writing this book changed you then?
It's so when you write a book, when you write your first book, you don't know who you are as a writer. So I knew who I was as a reader. I know what I enjoy. I know what I wanted to do. As a writer, I didn't really know what my voice was. I didn't really know my style, what I enjoy, what I didn't enjoy. I didn't know if I wanted to do fiction, nonfiction. So ironically, you end up landing on a topic like curiosity, and it kind of forces you to apply the same principles that are in the book. Every time I showed up, I had to make sure my heart was in the right place. I was still writing for why I wanted to write and what my heart wanted me to write, right? I couldn't just sit and say, oh, I shouldn't be writing or anything. No, you actually just have to be actively embracing the process of writing every single minute. So that I needed to do. And that was the patience of realizing writing a book end to end is quite a long endeavor. And there are many moments where you feel like, should I be writing? Should I not be writing? There are moments where you feel good and there are moments where you feel terrible. This book, it's quite emotional in a way. I wanted to paint a lot of emotion. I wanted to go very deep, but that comes at a cost as a writer, because there is a level of vulnerability you have to learn to get to, which maybe in a conversation with you, I can get to very easily through words, actually typing it out, and creating a universe where the reader can actually get to that same level of emotional depth. Very, very difficult. So Curiosity and I is a perfect title, I feel, for this book, partly because there are very bits and pieces of who I am in there. But when the reader picks up the book, I view it more as curiosity and you, because I hope you become I, and you have the opportunity to go on this adventure with curiosity as well. So it changed me, right? And if you ask me personally, I knew I would enjoy writing. I didn't know I would find a life passion. So that's a pretty good discovery on this journey of letting my own curiosity guide me.
During the book, it's obviously a meditative exploration, but you make a really strong point in that it's not necessarily about being a thought process.
Right.
It's about being curiosity in practice.
Yes.
So at what point does somebody go about living in practice of curiosity versus just mediating on the lessons itself?
I think what I love about curiosity as a concept actually is that it deals with kind of reality as it is, right? It's not that I didn't want the book to be positive. Far from that. I hope it is a beacon of hope and inspiration for people. But I also want to look at life through the lens of how it is. Life is nuanced. And I think curiosity gives you those glasses, and you can look at life with all those nuances and figure out, what can I make out of this moment, irrespective of how it feels. Fear is not fun. You will feel pain. You will get hurt. You may hurt others. You will disappoint. You will get disappointed. The question then is what now? And I think curiosity gives you the right perspective, a non-judgmental perspective, if you practice it. But to me, it's a very realistic force. Real life is complex. It's nuanced. You will experience both the good, the bad, the challenging. The question is, what is a good tool to help us make sense of that and stay close to how we're evolving as we go through all of that? And for me, that's what curiosity is really.
And does that mean that anybody can practice curiosity regardless of circumstances? Is that fair to say? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, but with some nuance. The essence of curiosity is part of what it means to be a human being. That is a fundamental belief that I have. Now, one of the big questions I had to grapple with when I wrote the book is curiosity a privilege? And actually, I've had many conversations with many people. Life circumstances may make it feel like you're not able to actually practice your curiosity or go after things at a certain level. But for me, it's about how you do what you do is more important than what you do. To me, real curiosity is anchored in the present moment. You don't have the funds to maybe go all in on this idea. That's okay. But bring yourself back to this present moment. You know that curiosity is there and it's honest. What's the next smallest action that's available to you? And that's what I love about it as a guiding principle. It's no matter your circumstances, curiosity will strive to meet you where you are. And that's what I hope people get, as opposed to say, oh, I'm not curious. No. Look around. Even if you feel like the circumstances are not working for you, and many times in life, it will not feel like the circumstances are working for you. Remember, the essence of curiosity can meet you where you are. And that's a message I hope most people can get out of this book as well.
T, I need your help. Thank you, sir.
Enjoy.
Good luck.
I'm going to be talking about, another angle to your book, which is the outward curiosity. Why was it important for you to tell your own story through this book?
It's quite funny because you say tell my own story, but that's not how I view it, quite frankly. I didn't write those stories so that you feel like the life of O'Nell is so interesting that you should read it or you should learn about it. I'm sure my life has value. I know that. That's okay. But that wasn't the point. The point was actually to use memoir as very important emotional, mental, and spiritual anchors that move the narrative plot forward.
So in general, when we speak about, outward curiosity, I guess in your viewpoint, what does it mean to be curious to the world?
Every single person you meet is an entire universe with an entire story, with an entire mix of human beings that they've interacted with, of dreams, hopes, fears. But in order for you to actually understand that, you have to practice it towards yourself. You will only grasp the extent to which each human being you may encounter is such a vast universe if you understand that you yourself are that. The more we can practice curiosity toward ourselves, the better it is for how we connect with the world. And we have to. I mean, the world exists for a reason. We grow through other people. And I think when the curiosities of many people, honest curiosities, come together, it's just an incredibly outsized opportunity for creation and good impact. My view is this is a never-ending process. The same way you will always change. In the book, I present this concept of imposters, right? So people-pleasing, ego, comparison, right? Ego for me would be one of those imposters to tell you, hey, by the way, you've practiced curiosity enough. Like you've arrived, you're good, right? I don't think the voice of curiosity would say that. So you never arrive. I think you can just appreciate the journey and along the way, enjoy whatever good milestones it gives you.
Ego, people-pleasing, comparison.
Yeah.
Those are obviously prevalent, very present in our world today. It's as close as being within our own phones. How do we stay grounded?
I think it starts with self. These imposters, it's not that they are bad per se. And in my own life, I don't actually fear those imposters anymore. It's more my job is to recognize when they are there, understand the message that they're bringing. I view them almost as teachers at this point. Teachers I'm not trying to see more often than not, but when they are here, let me not waste the opportunity to actually see them. We shouldn't have any sort of anxiety against them. It's more about, okay, let's sit down and let's see why I decided to go towards people pleasing today. Why is my ego either inflated from the standpoint of I did something good and now all of a sudden I feel like I'm that good, or maybe I made a mistake and now I'm beating myself up as if I'm the worst person that ever existed. That's ego at play. And then comparison, we all know what that is, and that's probably the easiest one we fall into from the get-go.
And there's obviously going to be a subset of folks that might not feel like they're equipped to identify these imposters.
Right.
How can we empower those people to be able to put themselves in a position to work towards a good balance that continues to empower them within their journey?
I cannot stress for me how important it is to create space and time to interact with yourself, because the world is complex. You're always overstimulating. There's a lot of things happening. So creating that space is probably the biggest gift you can give yourself to begin with. And then, in the book also, curiosity offers the protagonist kind of 3 guiding principles to help them recognize, maybe not so much, oh, this is exactly this imposter, but recognize whether or not the voice they're hearing is the honest voice of curiosity. And that's what I was referring to, which is, curiosity is honest. So you have to ask yourself, this feeling that I have right now, is it an honest and good feeling, right? And take the time to really ask yourself, is that what I want? Is that how I feel? Is it really mine to carry, or am I just taking something from someone else or from something else? And then the second is, again, curiosity is active. Something like ego often will try to force you to stay rigid in the perception of yourself, right? You're the greatest, stay there, don't move, don't do anything. Or you're the worst. Too bad, but this is where we are. Let's just figure out how we can keep you there. Curiosity is active, and it should push you to want to do a little bit more, learn a little bit more, see a little bit more. Not in a way that you are so caught up on a specific outcome, but just because it's fun, because you're exploring, and it's very nice.
Absolutely.
And then curiosity should push you to be a little bit patient, right? Where it's like you may have aspirations, but because you find enjoyment in the process, and it brings you and pulls you into the present moment each and every step. If you find yourself being super impatient, if you find yourself now always dreaming about the future or the past, you may realize, oh, maybe I'm not actually using the voice of curiosity, or the voice speaking to me is not curiosity.
Right.
And again, no need to judge. That's the beauty of it.
Right.
You just need to keep observing and see where that leads you.
Next play.
As
You alluded to this element of each person having their own universe.
yes,
Obviously, it's a vast world. And to be able to navigate your own curiosity vis-a-vis the world is an endless journey. How do you feel as though that perceptual, curiosity positions people in the world vis-a-vis other people's own individual universe?
human beings, we have something very powerful. Emotions. We have powerful compasses that, for me, are empirical evidence of the fact that we're meant to live life together. I can feel your pain. When a baby cries, another baby starts crying. There's a reason that's hardwired into us. And I actually think that's because curiosity, just like life, was never meant actually to be done alone or practiced alone necessarily. So for me, what I like about practicing curiosity is that it made me realize that I am a constant work in progress, that change is always part of who I am. And that if I am actually very judgmental of the world around me, I'm not saying don't have values. I'm not saying don't be able to say this action is bad or this or that. But at the essence, you become a lot less judgmental and you actually try to see behind the curtain. We're not gods on earth. We're all human beings. And more often than not, we look at others and we say, I would never do this. But quite frankly, if you would have walked the exact same path of them, chances are you might end up doing the exact same thing as them. So we're so quick to judge because, again, we're caught up in this concept of form. And when we learn to, that's probably my best way to put it, curiosity might be one of the powerful tools that can help us transcend form without denying it. And I think that's where the most consequential human relationships are built.
And which sort of feeds into the idea of enabling yourself to be reborn through the love of self, through your own personal curiosity. Why is that important?
Because I think it's the fundamental part of the human experience. And it's funny because we can recognize it in others, but sometimes we don't believe that is accessible to us, right? Like if you look through social media, you'll hear these million stories. J.K. Rowling wrote to X amount of publishers and was about to give up until she got the big break, right? This person started this company. Phil Knight started this company in his 60s, this and that and all the stuff. The reason they were able to do that is that somewhere I think they believed that change was always accessible to them. And one of the important themes that I also wanted to explore through this book is mortality. There's a part in the book where I write a little bit of this kind of poem where the protagonist is reflecting on its own, and it's, today could be my last. That is an objectively true statement for all of us. Today is also the first of the rest of my life. That is also an objectively true statement for all of us. And for me, that space, that's the space in which curiosity about self, about the world, pulls us. And I think that's where the most beautiful things in life can happen.
It's beautiful what you say, because I feel like, especially in the context of, outward curiosity, that's really what, we founded People Are Dope on, right? It's the idea of being able to explore community, explore stories, explore individual thought processes. As individuals, what does it mean to you to extend a level of grace to people?
You would rather someone extending to you curiosity rather than judgment. So why aren't you doing that for other people as well? Another human being can become a mirror for you. Then you realize how I act against them is how I act against myself. Curiosity it's not the only truth nor the only answer at all. I think what I have found in my life, what I hope to share with the reader is, it is a powerful tool that can help us live more meaningfully. And once you learn to be curious about yourself, you learn to be curious about others. And if you meet someone who also learned to be curious about themselves, like think about the way that changes the nature of the relationships that we have. I think it would make for a much better world.
So if internal curiosity is the exploration of self and outward curiosity is the exploration of the world and those around us, then in your view, what happens when those two elements align?
Productive peace. A lot of people, when people talk about this concept of inner peace, there is, I think, sometimes a fallacy that to be at peace, to be able to accept reality as it is comes with some level of resignation that you can't make changes, that you can't take action. And I think that's completely false. I think once you've learned to be curious about yourself, what is actually amazing is you will be pulled to go out in the world because that's also your training ground. And then that's going to feed more need to explore yourself. And that's just a very nice and neat loop, basically, that happens. So for me, that is a level of productivity of interactions with yourself, with the world, that is a lot more rooted in peace. And I think we could all use a little bit more of that. And like I said, the opportunity for outsized creation, when two people honestly practicing curiosity come together, I think that's what changed the world for the better, for the things we'd like for it to look like. So that's what I would answer to that. I think marry the two and magic happens, really.
Absolutely.
Check.
Check.
Yeah, you can't get in check.